worry about this being on the video. I just wanted to welcome all of you, and I hope you do have time before you leave to look at this incredible display of memorabilia that is out here, because it is truly incredible. And one thing that was really special when we came today, because we have never used this room before. We have used the church in the past, but never this room. And when we got here and I looked at this wonderful quilt that they have done, oh my gosh, this is a walk down memory lane. There's Gordon Williams, who was the crossing guard forever. There's Pat Randleman, who used to sub for me when I first started teaching. I mean, we have an incredible whole tapestry of history in this wonderful quilt that they did here at the church. And I don't know quite the history of the Sharp. Do you know?
They did this when we moved into this building from Glendower. So everybody made their own square, and it was supposed to be quilted, but they were all different sizes. So this is how we ended up with some.
It is absolutely amazing. So if you get done looking at the wonderful memorabilia that we have from the Loomis family, take a minute and look at this, because it is really neat. How are we doing technically? We're close. We're still. My phone is probably a better option.
You want to go ahead and do that? All right, let's do that.
And it's not really without photos.
Huh?
It's not.
You know, recognize a lot of faces. So while we're still struggling a little bit up here, what kind of memories do you have that involve the Loomis family?
Cindy, you can't say anything.
Oh, it's horrible.
Or you either afterward. You can't say anything.
Shar, who would be a good one to?
Actually, in this room here.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have my neighbors,
I was
Kelly
gonna
and
say something
yeah.
about those Loomis again.
So it's just constant. Roseman is intertwined, constantly intertwined. Either, you know, Ina babysat for us. You know, Michelle, I let her drive when she was 15. Don't tell her parents. We were so tired coming back from amusement park. We're like on A and something. We're like, you can drive, Michelle. She's like, really? I don't know. Isn't that horrible? And me and Tom are good with it.
About 5 minutes, I said no more.
Then we got Ann Yost, you know what I mean? Everybody's just intertwined. Whether, you know, coming to Foster's, going to RJ, knowing my dad in the VFW, whatever. So, school, everything. Yeah, so.
Oh, I know. I remember when your dad was honorary mayor.
Yes.
We used to have an honorary mayor.
Yes. Yeah.
And he was honorary
Yeah,
mayor.
and Lila Berg was next, and she ran against Bill Vaughn, and we supported Lila.
Oh.
Is that not horrible? But we did what our dad said, and that's what he wanted next, so I'm like, okay. Yeah.
How do I navigate that once it's up there? You know, how do I get to my next picture?
It's pretty much just
Do
here.
it in real time. The only issue is going to be
I think I should try. All right. I think
No, we can't just pump it up.
to be here. But it was really nice when we had a bigger room at the library. We'll be anxious for the library renovations to be completed so we can get back. At least, yeah, the room is more comfortable, you know. One of the problems with the
because we're not sure that this is working. So if you're quiet and I'm loud, it might work. Right?
Can everyone hear?
So we've had some technical difficulties about getting the photos on the screen, so who knows what you're gonna see. Okay? I have no idea what you're gonna see. Anyway, imagine with me for a minute what it would be like to have the knowledge of your family history for the past 107 years. And there's some of us sitting in this room, I have some relatives here, who know that and have experienced that. My family is fortunate to have just that. This evening, my sister, Charlotte,
You're good, that was his.
But that was my signal to turn mine off. Okay. My sister, Char Loomis Taylor, is here with me, and my name is Joe Loomis Kengott. We're gonna give you a glimpse into the wonderfully fun and dedicated family that we call ours. Can you hear me in the back? Okay, because I could be louder, I've yelled before. My sister Mel Hensley can't be here tonight. She'd love to be here, but she's at her son's house spoiling her first grandson. And we have a brother who couldn't be here tonight either because he lives in heaven and he died 21 years ago today. So, yeah. Our family, both on the Loomis, which is my dad's side, and the Hodges, which is my mom's side, has a very long, rich history in the town of Roseman. And we hope that through the information that we share, you will see how our family loves this town and has been invested in it for many, many years. This is my great-grandmother, Luella McNamee. We call her Grandma Mac, and there's several of us in the room. It's her Grandma Mac here tonight, and that's a picture of Grandma Mac. Her husband Winfield and her moved to the AV in 1918 from Nebraska, and their first house was a 2-story house on 60th Street and Avenue A. My cousin Kathy says she thinks it's still standing, but I don't know. So anyway, so this information that I'm reading is taking out of a newspaper article that's over here somewhere, so I'm just gonna read it verbatim. This was written on her 81st birthday, which was done at Wayside Chapel when it was over on Glendower Street. Okay, it says our great-grandmother Luella McNamee, we call her Grandma Mac, moved to the Antelope Valley in 1918. School for their 2 children was their first consideration. Their only neighbor, the Leo Huntington family, had 2 children. The Huntington children drove a horse and buggy to Rogers School. Does anybody know where that's at? I don't. Okay. Each morning, and they offered to take the McNamee children with them. There were herds of wild antelope and wild horses roaming the valley, and Luella felt that that might be a danger to her children. She decided to do something about it. She made a long, tedious trip to Los Angeles and spoke to the county supervisor to present her problem. The following Monday morning,
She can't read.
the following Monday, I almost have it memorized. The following Monday morning, the first school bus picked up the children in the valley. Now, when you think about that, she must have had some kind of influence or voice or attitude or something, because she went to talk to them, and the next Monday there was a school bus. So I'm not sure about that. And I guess that was something really big for the Antelope Valley.
You see where you get it.
What's that?
You can see where you get it.
That'd be sharp. Mrs. Leo Huntington, and by the way, Mrs. Leo Huntington is from the Hunter Dodge family, I believe, by the way. Drove the first school bus, and Luella McNamee served on the school board in 1918. Mr. Huntington had built a hotel in Roseman. The hotel and adjoining store, the depot, and the post office across the street were the few buildings the town of Roseman could boast about in 1922. Not yet, when it gets yellow. We're working on it. The McNamees managed the store and post office for 4 years. After that, they took up alfalfa ranching. The McNamees had 3 children, Harold, Marie, and George. Harold only lived for 3 years. Luella played the organ for church and played for dances. The McNamees opened the first trailer park in Roseman in 1936, and I don't know which park that is. However, she did live in what was Pearland. I don't know what it is now. It's like before you get to Coaches, whatever it is. Okay, she lived there for many years, so who knows if that's what it did. And they actually operated it for 5 years. My Grandma Mac kept herself very busy. She opened a gift shop at Diamond and Roseman Boulevard. So right across from where the tire store is, there's this like mobile home sales place. That's where her gift shop was, and there was a set of apartments behind that as well. And she managed the apartments as well. And I think I lived there as a baby.
Yeah, we moved in our house when I was born.
Somewhere in there, okay. She made handmade crafts, and you'll see some of those on the back table over there, including tatting. I tried tatting because I thought if Grandma Mac can do it, it's like tying knots with your eyes closed, and I couldn't do it. Tapestry, crochet, and knitting. Now I'm gonna,
We're trying.
well, we'll skip that photo. We have some of that stuff here today. She attended Wayside Chapel and even turned the first shovel at the groundbreaking for the new sanctuary. And there's a photo on that computer somewhere about that. Luella's 15th birthday was celebrated at Wayside Chapel, like I just talked about, and I have a picture of all the grandkids and great-grandkids who were there. Dale's in it, Cindy's in it, and Cindy, you are way taller than Char and Mel. You had a growth spurt that year, it's unbelievable. However, I am not in the photo. And we voted on it, and I think I was in timeout because I was in trouble.
100%.
So,
100%.
everybody's in it but me. So, so that makes me think about the Wayside Chapel. It plays an integral part in our family's history and life, and it still does today. Ruth, Charles, and Roy, which are my dad's brothers and sister, helped their father and grandfather mix the adobe mortar, which was hauled from the Roseman Dry Lake in horse-drawn wagons to make the mortar for the bricks to build the first Wayside Chapel over on Diamond Street. And I have a picture of that. It's over here too. And then what's interesting is, so they had a part in starting the Wayside Chapel, and we'll get to a little bit later. My uncle and aunt were pastors here, and then I worked here for 27 years. I worked in the last 2 buildings that they had, so it's kind of neat. Let's see, my mom and dad were married in the first Wayside Chapel on Diamond. All 4 of us kids were married at the one on Glendower, and all of my children were married at this facility. So it's kind of a neat history that we have there. The McNamee children graduated from Antelope Valley High. Following graduation, George, which is George Sr., who lived out by the gold mine, he took over the bus system, and his mother Luella, who you saw there a minute ago. Now you got pictures of my husband there. Okay. I hope there's nothing on there you guys don't want to see, because it's scary. I'm really excited now. Now you know my passcode. No. Oh, so I could find a picture. So, what were we talking about? Okay, this is the 4. Oh no, we're not going there yet. Sorry. They were in order. They're not. Let's see. I don't know. Let's see. Okay, there was Luella. Okay, this is her turning the first shovel of dirt when they were dedicating the sanctuary on Glendower Street. So the other buildings are there, but the sanctuary wasn't there. And I think this person in the background right here is Sally Glennon. I'm guessing, and I didn't notice the other, so. Okay, wow, we're all technological here now. This was the picture of all of the grandkids when I was in timeout. Oh, I can't make it bigger. So anyway, some of y'all are in there. Dale's in there, Cindy's in there, Char's in there. And that was at Wayside on Glendower Street. What else did we talk about? This is the first one on Diamond Street. That picture says 1936 to 60 is when they were there. You can see by the cars that when that was. Okay, I think we're good. Let's see. Let's see. The McNamees graduated from A.V. High. Following graduation, George, which is Luella's son, took over the bus system, and his mother, Luella, she drove her car to pick up the children that lived in the farthest out areas that the bus wouldn't get to, so she did that in her own car. After the Burton brothers purchased the Tropical mine, George and his father both went to work at the mine. George became the purchasing agent, a position held until he retired, and his father, Winfield, was a sampler for 19 years. Doreen Burton came to visit her uncles, the Burton brothers. Doreen and George became great friends, and they were eventually married. So somehow we're related to the Burtons, okay? George and Doreen had 2 sons, George Jr. and Phil. Both have now passed, and George Sr. lived near the mine in the house that the Randleman, is it Pat?
Yeah.
That Pat Randleman lives in now, correct?
Or the one that Sue's grandmother across the street, I mean. like,
No, it's
yeah,
right by the gold
airport.
mine.
That would be closer to the gold.
But which Randleman lives in that house? I don't know. Okay,
Wait,
anyway.
wait, her brother, Sue's brother.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay, so they bought it from the McNamees, okay. George helped organize the Kiwanis Club and was a trustee for the Roseman Schools for 11 years, and a trustee for A.V. High School and A.V. Junior College for 12 years. He also helped organize the Boy Scouts in Roseman. Okay, we're gonna be looking for, Calvin, that one. Ooh, got it. He and his wife Doreen helped the Sellos promote the tours and organize the museum at Tropical Mine. He also owned the Tropical Powder Company, and there's some things here from that company on the table over there. They had 4 children. One of them is what we call Grandpa Loomis. We're gonna call him Thomas Loomis for this because his people call him Tommy, but that's my brother's name too, so it was too confusing. So we're calling him Thomas Loomis. So that is Thomas Loomis, who is my dad's dad, or Luella's son that you just saw. And that happens to be my brother, little baby there on the photo. That was taken in 1957. And that's taken up at our cabin in the Tattick Mountains. So nothing like a gun and a baby in the same photo, right? Okay. Ruth, Charles, Roy, and Robert. So now we want to find the one of the 4 McNamee kids somewhere in here. It's harder than you think.
Maybe we can't see.
Right there. Okay, so that's Ruth, which is Dale's grandmother. Dale Johnson, over here, raise your hand, Dale. Dale's my cousin, okay. So this is, my grandpa that you just saw there, these are his 4 kids. Ruth and Charles died as a teenager in an accident on Sierra Highway. I think they were probably not doing what they should. And that's Roy Loomis, who is Cindy's dad. Cindy's over there. Yay, and that's my dad, Bob Loomis on the end. So those were the 4 kids from them. Now we're gonna be looking for, there's that cute picture of Dad and Uncle Roy. That super cute one. It's too cute to pass up, you guys. Let's see. Okay, so this is just so cute. So on the left is Cindy's dad, Roy, and on the right is my dad, Bob. It was just too cute to pass up, so I had to put that in there. So Thomas Loomis, my grandpa, my dad's dad, was very involved in the community. He delivered the first load of custom ore to the gold mine in 1924, and we're showing that picture right now. So there's that. He's driving the truck there. Let's see. Because he owned a trucking company, and his trucking company made many deliveries around the area. And here's a picture of him with his trucking company, and this is somewhere on Sierra Highway, so my mom says. So it's kind of small. I don't know why it doesn't come out big, but no, anyway, might just be the connection. Okay, we're gonna keep going. It's in Muroc Boulevard.
At Edwards?
Sierra Highway and Rose Boulevard. So you know the gas station they just tore down? That's where it was, okay? And the original application for his business license is on the wall, hanging up over there. Let's see, let's show that one. That's the actual original, him wanting to start that business in there. Yeah, it also says on here that he had a business at Willow Springs and 3rd Street. We don't know about that, and that might have been the trucking company is what I'm thinking that he had as well. So some things we don't know everything about. The business license was applied for in 1923. So my family has had a business in the town of Roseman since 1923. It operated for 3 years, I can't quite remember, closed in I think 2006, so 83 years. And that was R&J Auto Parts, which was where the tire store is now in Roseman. So we're going to show you a picture of his first place here. That's where that gas station was on the corner, Tommy's Garage. They're big on my phone, they're little on the screen, what can I say? So that's where that was. Tommy's Garage moved to Rosen Boulevard, just west of Diamond Street. So you know where the tire store is? Part of that building was Tommy's Garage for a while. My parents owned many parcels in that area. They owned the lot where E.J. Knowles Key Shop was. Do you guys remember that? It's where Expert Automotive is now. They owned that. They owned the lots to the west of R&J, which it used to be Jim Russell's International Racing School, then it was the feed store.
Was it Roy's Welding?
It was Roy's Welding Shop, which is Kathy's dad. He'll be in here a little bit later. And now it's Mexican auto parts store, Hispanic auto parts store, something like that. So, auto repair. Let's see. They also own the vacant lots across from Expert Auto. And they're still vacant to this day. We've sold it to an investor in Orange County, so who knows what's gonna go on there. And then my dad's sister Ruth, which is Dale's grandmother, right? Okay, Dale's grandmother and her husband Danny Ferris, they lived in the house on the corner of Diamond Street and Rosen Boulevard. And so it was after they sold it, was a Mexican restaurant for a while, then it was a lawyer's office, and now it's Caltrans. Okay, on that corner there. And it has a cellar. You remember the cellar? Okay. That's pretty cool. It has a cellar.
Do you remember the Avon rooms?
And I can show you.
Fishing pond?
Okay, so this picture here, if you look at it, you are standing, okay, oh, I've got a pointer, which I don't know where it is. Right where the Diamond Street, it's okay, I'm good. See where the Diamond Street sign is? Right there would be where the tire store is. So you're looking, on the right, you see the elementary school, way out there. And that sign above that truck says Tommy's Garage, so it's kind of just looking down Diamond and Rosen Boulevard. And that was before Rosen Boulevard was 4 lanes. I have pictures of that too, but I didn't bring them today. So, okay, let's see. And that's snow. Okay, we're good for now. My grandpa Loomis began and organized the Roseman Volunteer Fire Department, so you'll see that one here. Is that right? Yeah. Is that it? Okay, so my grandfather, Thomas Loomis, began and organized the Roseman Volunteer Fire Department. This is taken from an article in the Valley Press dated in 1959. Thomas Loomis, who originated fire protection for Roseman in 1938, was honored at a community banquet Sunday in the Roseman Community Building. So we know the community building's been there since 1959 when this article was written. Jack Chalcraft, you remember the Chalcrafts? Yeah. Okay, president of the Roseman Fire Department, presented Loomis with a gold badge, and we have pictures of that as well, and they're over here. Should be near that. So the one on the right is what they presented him with. That was the one, he wasn't a paid firefighter, he was always a volunteer firefighter, but they honored him with a badge for that, for the recognition of his many years of service. He realized the need for some type of fire protection for the town of Roseman. He built a hose cart, which he manned alone at first. So it was a tank that I think he pulled behind his truck, is what it was. In 1942, a group of volunteer firemen was organized and a county truck was added. It's in there somewhere, but I don't really care, don't find it. In 1954, the group reorganized, changing its name from Roseman Volunteer Fire Department to Roseman Fire Department. Equipment now included 2 county trucks and a resuscitator. Membership totaled approximately 18 men with a crew of county firemen in addition. The dinner in honor of Loomis was sponsored by Roseman Firemen. Attending, in addition to many community leaders, were Rich Dodson, Kern County Fire Department District Chief, and Thomas, I can't say his last name, a Battalion Chief from Tehachapi. Roy Loomis, Cindy's dad, was Master of Ceremonies at that ceremony there. And this is so interesting to me. Here's the thing to honor him. They had a comic fashion show. I'm not sure what that is. Presented by a group of women from Mojave. And then just another little interesting fact is my grandpa Thomas Loomis also donated the property where the first fire station stood on Desert Street over there. And he donated that property. So it's kind of interesting. My husband ended up working for Kern County Fire Department for 25 years, so kind of have a little history going on there. Now, this is just a super interesting letter. It has nothing to do with anything except for it says, let's see. It's from the Pacific Telephone and Telegraph Company, dated May 23rd, 1945. It says, "Dear Mr. Loomis," which is my grandfather, "I am pleased to announce that arrangements have been made to provide a daily 24-hour telephone service for residents of Roseman beginning June 4th, 1945. On or after this date, calls may be made and placed all hours of the day and night. This increase in the hours of service reflects our continuing efforts to render to our customers an improved telephone service. We are hopeful that this additional service will be a real benefit to you personally and to the community as a whole." So we just assumed that our grandfather was communicating with the phone company asking for additional service in Roseman, and he got it. So his grandma asked for a school bus and she got it, and he asked for a telephone and he got it. So, and then Thomas's son Roy, who's Cindy's dad, served on the school board, owned and operated a welding shop in Roseman, and also Roy's Mobile. There's a lot of receipts over here from Roy's Mobile Station on display. And of course, Cindy's here today, and her daughter as well, Afton. So she's here with her. Okay, Thomas's son Bob, who is our father, was born in Bakersfield in 1933. At the time, it was the closest hospital. There was no clinic here at the time. A lot of babies were born in clinics here, but for some reason, he was born in Bakersfield. He graduated from A.B. High School and then joined the Army and was stationed in Germany. And he's so cute, I think. There's some of his Army stuff over there as well. He loved to hunt and is seen here in this photo. It's the hunting photo in the back of the truck, the deer in the back of the truck. I don't think that's it. Oh, yeah, okay, so, I don't know, I'm sorry they're so small. He's seen in this photo, on the left is my dad, in the middle is Roy, and on the right is Al Polly. So, and what's neat is, we've been fortunate for our entire life, I think most of my dad's entire life, to have really neat property in on the south side of the Tehachapi Mountains. So, just kind of a pretty unique little place that we've been able to have up there. So they did a lot of hunting up that way. Okay, let's see. So, we're talking about my dad now. He met Sue Hodges and married her at the First Wayside Chapel location. And I had not read this, Char has not heard this. I've never seen this till I found it yesterday. My mom wrote it. It's about how they met and got married. It says, Bob and Sue met in 1955 in a small restaurant, Just a Cafe. I don't know if that's the name of it. It kind of looks like it, and I don't know where that would be. When coffee was 10 cents and a burger was 35 cents. Bob was fresh out of the Army, and for that 10-cent cup of coffee, he left a 25-cent tip. That turned Sue's eyes, and then he eventually turned her heart. Actually, it was her mom, Ruth, who fixed up their first date. So Ruth Hodges, some of you knew, we called her Grandma Hodges. She really liked this guy, Bob. To back up a little, Sue at age 15, I did not know this, had run away to marry her then boyfriend. 15! Well, her sister got married at 15, so whatever. The car broke down, and since Tommy's Garage was the only repair shop in town, Bob ended up fixing the car for this that runaway. And it cost $10, and he bet Sue the $10 that she would never marry that guy. And my mom says that he still owes her the money and never paid him, but she married him. So, let's see. Their first date in November of '55 was a community swim with her mom there. Their second date was the first race at Willow Springs Raceway. I thought that was interesting too. Engaged in December, and believe it or not, they were married on April Fool's Day, 1956. My dad was 23 and my mom was 16. So I just thought that was super interesting that we have never heard about how they met. Okay, let's see. We have my mom and dad's, I don't think the wedding photo maybe is
It's over there.
Yeah, it's over there. There is a picture of us 4 kids looking just adorable in here. It's right here.
And yes, she cut her hair. Everything we.
So I'm on the right, Char's on the left, Tommy's in the back, and Mel's in the front. So,
How
And-
come Mel gets longer hair than the rest of you?
That's what I wanna know. Life is not fair.
okay, so my dad Bob loved the town of Rosamond and was involved in many aspects of small town life. He worked for his father at the garage and eventually took over the business, and then it became, instead of Tommy's Garage, it became R&J Auto Parts in the 60s, I believe. There's the small, yeah, so this is R&J Auto Parts before it was expanded on, where the tire store is now today, and you can find the bigger one. R&J was named after my mom and dad, so they're Bob and Sue. But their real names are Robert and Janice. So I tell everyone it was named after me because my initials are actually RJ, but you don't know my real name either. So okay. Everyone called my mom Sue. She got that nickname from a babysitter who said that she looked like a little black-eyed Susie, and that is after it's been expanded. So they did that in 1974 and doubled the size of it. So. And Tommy's Garage used to be in the back of it, and Roy's Mobile was the next place down from that. Business for 82 years, selling to CarQuest Auto Ports in 2006, and then eventually to the tire store. Us kids spent many, many afternoons there after school, not very happily about it, doing our homework to the smell of machine oil and Old Stale coffee. But we did get to eat the sugar cubes, so that was pretty cool. We also helped with inventory, which wasn't too bad because we got to stay up very late to do that after the shop closed. For a short time, my dad also had auto parts stores at the motor pool at Edwards Air Force Base. I think he had that twice. And then you know more, Tom, where? My dad's stores. Didn't he have, yeah.
Quartz Hill.
Mojave, Quartz Hill.
You end up buying Rosamond parts too.
Yeah, and there's ones here, so he would buy out stores that were kind of failing and then eventually make money
Sell them.
on them and sell them, I guess,
Yeah.
is what he did. So he had quite a few at one time. So I wanted to show, okay, there's another one of just mom and dad, it's black and white, it's super, there's super cute in that one too, let's see. That one. That's them at R&J, long time ago. Okay, let's see. He also owned and operated a tow truck company for many years. In the evenings after work, all day at R&J, he would weld stobs for Great Lakes Carbon. They were like a plug kind of thing. I don't know what they did.
The bake furnaces,
They were for what?
the bake furnaces.
For the bake furnaces, okay. And he hired George Hornbrick. Do you guys remember George Hornbrick? And he used to weld with my dad out back at our house after work every day.
11, 12 every night.
Here's, that's okay, we're good. So he, we showed those snow photos already. I think we got all that. Okay. My mom, Sue, was involved in anything my dad was involved in. There's a picture of her modeling, but I don't think it got in there. Yeah, okay, we're good. So anyway, my mom was involved in anything that my dad was involved in. She helped with many events at the VFW, the Chamber of Commerce, and they were both involved in Boy Scouts, den leaders, whatever they were called back then. There's a pretty sweet photo and newspaper article of my mom modeling over there. She's looking really hot in that photo over there. And I think my Aunt Nettie Vaughn is in there as well. And then there's a McNamee, Charlie McNamee, who was married to George McNamee Jr., is in there as well. She also hosted many people in our homes. We were always having people in our homes. And was involved in ministry at Wayside Chapel for many, many years as well. Okay, I'm gonna try to find the cross on the hill. Okay.
Found it.
My dad's Boy Scout troop, I know there's some controversy about this, but we're claiming it tonight because we're up front. My dad's Boy Scout troop placed the cross on the hill on the R Mountain in 1969. That's a photo of that going up there. My dad made the cross from large steel pipe, welded it together, and towed it up the mountain. Let's see. The next one's gonna be the vote for Bob stuff. My dad ran and won the honor of being Roseman's first honorary mayor in 1967, so you had to vote for Ons Bob. He was instrumental in pushing for and seeing that Roseman got its first bank, and it did. It was Bakersfield National Bank, and it was where, do you know where the sheriff's station was originally on Diamond Street, again on the end of Diamond Street, down in the ghetto? Right there? The little square building, anyway. And then it became several banks after that. There's an article up here hanging on the wall, talks about my parents being the longest customers, and that's probably because he started the bank and opened the first account in there. So, let's see. He was also honored to be front and center on the ribbon cutting when they opened the freeway. So I remember us being there with a
I
helicopter.
have a
and-
picture of that, we just.
yeah, we couldn't find that photo either. And then the Roseman Women's Club, find the key. The Roseman Women's Club presented my dad with the key to, I'd say the city, but we're not a city, but a key to Roseman in 1967, and we still have that today. He was super involved in the VFW. He became the district president and drove to Bishop often for district meetings. He marched in parades and planned many events. There's some pictures of that over there as well. My mom and dad worked at the VFW and other community organizations in planning and implementing the Roseman Fair, which that's a tie from the Roseman Fair. That was, you know that, how many years, 3 years, 4 years?
I think it was 5 or 6.
Yeah, it wasn't very many years.
Wasn't very many.
Yeah.
There's an article up there on it for 1968 for the fair. Hanging up
And
there.
some of you know this and some of you don't, but it's just so funny to me that during one of the years of our fair, the dating game couples prize was a trip to the Roseman Fair. And rodeo, and Little Britches rodeo.
And they got to be in the parade.
And they got to be in the parade, so wow.
Who in the room would you think that has a twin would not leave that couple alone? Tom Taylor.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they were not happy. They're like, get rid of these kids.
Okay. I can't find this photo, but we have a picture of my dad running for the Chamber of Commerce president, and he's riding in a car alongside Lila Bird, remember Lila, and Glendon Johnson, huh?
I thought you gave that picture to me, it was in the newsletter, I think.
Okay, and yeah, we have it, we just don't have it
Yeah,
here.
so they-
And Glendon Johnson is driving, and there's somebody else in the car, and I was hoping you guys could help me with who that is. I have asked about 25 people, and nobody can pinpoint, it's a young man driving the car. Anyway, Now to go a little bit to my mother's side of the family. They were also involved in community life, not to the extent that my dad's side was. But my mother, Ruth Hodges, there's a picture.
This is the only picture where
No, I have two. They're in this one does crack us up. Hang on. It's hard to find. It is, gotta find it, because it's the only picture of them and they look like they like each other.
Oh, I'm not kidding you.
So this is taken inside the Wayside Cafe. See if I have the year.
Which, another interesting fact, Melanie's husband Roger and his family ran the Wayside Cafe for a while also.
Oh, did Randon.
Yeah.
So the other couple with them is Rick and Flo Hendricks. I don't know them. Does anybody?
There was a girl, Dorothy Hendricks, in school.
Rick and Flo Hendricks, so.
But the whole thing is, we never seen our grandma and grandpa even touch each other. Except for at my cousin Heidi's wedding, they held hands for a picture. So when we saw this, we were just like speechless.
Whoa.
We wanna fall over. We can't believe it. You know what I mean? It's like they liked each other.
And then my grandma Hodges ran Grandma's Daycare. A lot of you
Yeah.
might remember that. It was on Center Street and 20th, basically. And for many years, she ran that and, you know, helped watch kids for families who worked over the years. And for a while, they ran and owned Wayside Cafe as well, along with Roger Mel. So a little history there. Okay, and then this is my grandma's daughter. For several years, which is my mom's sister, Nettie, and her husband Bill Vaughn. Some of you might know them. There's a picture of them in there when they were younger. They're now 88 years old. They've been married like 73 years or something. I'm not kidding. That's like true. They owned and ran Bond's Home Market, which is where our Johnson's Market used to be. Now I call it the Dented Store Camp, but I don't know the name of it.
Big S or whatever it's called.
Big S.
Yeah,
Okay.
Big S.
So it was called Vaughn's Home Market, and it was in that building. And then across the street from that, you know where the liquor store is on the corner? So just west of that, there's a little building, and that was called Mr. B's Variety Store, and they owned that as well and sold lots of stuff in there. And then Bill Vaughn became the pastor of Wayside Chapel in 1978. He served in that role for 13 years. The church grew under his leadership, and he performed many weddings and funerals for members of this community. And then his son Phil was youth pastor here, who's our cousin at the same time. Okay, now to us Loomis kids. We're down to this generation now. My brother Tommy was married and had 3 children. He worked at R&J Auto Parts since he was 14 years old, eventually taking over the business when my dad and mom retired. So this is just, okay, so I know this isn't really, but I think this was my dad training my brother to answer the phone at R&J. So that's probably about 1958 or somewhere in there, something like that, so.
58 it says, yeah.
Oh, okay, it says it on the photo, okay, good. R&J was also known around the valley for having a good stock of parts for older model cars. And then my brother was also very active in the Roseman Community Service District Board of Directors for nearly 25 years. And just so you can see a picture of him, he's in this photo with us girls here. So that's taken up at our cabin as well.
And Mom didn't cut our hair in that, but it looks like it.
And then he served as the president for, I think, 6 years on RCSD, but was in 2006, they dedicated a conservation garden to him there at the RCSD building. He was also involved in Boy Scouts.
I'm trying to find that picture.
And here's a picture of him. Let's see, it's got Dad's old truck in it right there. Saluting in front of my dad's truck that says Roseman Auto Parts. So that's an old photo. Okay, let's see. My sister Sharon and her husband Tom, and my sister Mel and her husband Roger purchased Foster Freeze in 1989. Foster Freeze is an iconic fast food restaurant in Roseman. It's been in our community for years and had been a thriving business for most of those years. But when the Hensleys and Taylors purchased it, it had seen a few years of neglect. They jumped right in, making improvements to the building, hiring and training employees, and serving fresh food cooked to order. The business thrived under their leadership. They have taught many a teenager a strong work ethic over the nearly 33 years they owned and operated Foster Freeze. I don't think they killed any of them either. I think they,
Afton, you're not allowed to talk.
oh yeah,
There are you, Hannah?
Some of them are in this room.
In your old seat.
Yeah, cruise night, okay. They were let's see, they were known around the valley for their cruise nights, and here's a picture of an article in a paper. They did them quite a bit in the summer and eventually went to once a year on their anniversary of buying the building. And they would host a vintage car show on the lot, shown off by the owners of the cars. It also included a tri-tip barbecue meal, a 50-50 raffle, a hula hoop contest. By the way, the hula hoop was invented the year I was born. And a banana split eating contest and a live band. So the place would be packed. It was just a fun night. Foster's was also very generous. Find coffee with cop.
I'm
It's
trying
in there
to
somewhere.
find it.
Sure. Is that it?
No, that's the.
Okay, she'll find it, whatever. Foster's was also generous to more than is listed here, but our clubs, our schools, our youth groups, and our sports teams in Roseman. They donated gift certificates and drinks and ice and hosted taco night fundraisers. The record is making and serving 965 tacos in 2.5 hours.
Wow. And I wanted to cry.
And
No,
she
it
wanted
was
to
for
cry.
football. Yeah, it was crazy.
They sold Foster Freeze and retired in 2022, and they are now enjoying retired life and enjoy spending time with their grandkids. And
That's
this,
just in the old
they,
one on
they
Sarah
always
Highway.
made work fun, and this is a picture of them on Halloween.
Yeah,
at
so
Foster
this is in the
Freeze.
old one, this is me and Karen Jackman.
Oh, I didn't think it was.
Yeah, we were the Marx Brothers, does it kind of?
Okay. So that's pretty much what we have. I just hope this has instilled in some of you the same sense of community that our family had. We hope that our kids and grandkids will love and care for Roseman as we have, and we just have a few family photos to show. I had a really cool one that I can't find. It's taken on the steps out here. Yeah, we got, I skipped sister. I'm going back. In 2007, the Hensleys and Taylors built with their own hands Sister Coffee House next to Foster Freeze. Gourmet coffee comes to Roseman. They offered a wide variety of coffees, blended drinks, and teas along with pastries. The 2 drive-through windows were ideal for a quick order. They sold the business after several years, but the business is still open today. So I forgot about Sister.
That's just like a family
And that's
photo.
some family photos, and we have a few more, but anyway, that's that. Any questions that Shar can answer? Okay, I think we're good.
You're released.
Let me get my balance. Thank you all very much. I mean, isn't this amazing? What an incredible family history. Thank you very much for taking the time to do this. You want me over here? I'm being directed. All right, he wants this on camera. Okay, so again, I will repeat myself. Thank you all for coming in. Isn't this amazing? And this family is such a foundation for the community of Roseman. I mean, they just have history that goes forever. And we appreciate you taking the time to put all this together, to struggle with getting the presentation, but it was wonderful, don't you think? And please all take the time to look at some of the memorabilia if you didn't before.
We tried so hard to get the Loomises to put this together. And of course, they fiddle-farted.
We did.
They did for about 3 years. And as karma comes back to bite you, they've had 2 major surgeries in the family, and they still hung in there and put all this together. And I just,
So you can do it.
yeah. So really, this kind of puts us all on notice. It says we need to step it up. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Siobhan, do you have anything about next meeting?
No, we're in the meeting flex because we've had some cancellations and some other people that have had some health problems, so
Okay.
we're flexing.
All right, I want to remind everyone, I put little yellow signs over by the elevator. You are now on the 3rd floor. To go out, you go to the 2nd floor. You do not go to the 1st floor. You go to the 2nd floor. So look at my little yellow signs, which I will remove when everybody is gone. But in order to leave, you go floor 2. And again, thank you for coming, and we'll see you hopefully next month.